You give me such service. You give me service because you're such a putz. Yes.
Now, hold on. We're live now, man.
Hey, I was talking about golf, of course, when you
Of
putt.
course.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with the wonderful Steve March-Tormé, and we've decided to expose ourselves in public in a metaphoric
Again.
sense,
Yeah.
again for the second or third time, and talk about my new course, which I'm trying to figure out, and that's why I have Steve March-Tormé here. The course is called Songs That Changed the World. And Steve, I've picked you out of millions of people because not because of your sports background, but because you
No.
are an accomplished international musician and teacher, and you also have remarkable genes. So, a few words about your career and your biological dad, and whoever else you'd like to get involved in this discussion.
All right. Well, what Mel's referring to is my last name, March-Tormé. My dad, my birth dad, my real dad is Mel Tormé, who, of course, wrote one of the songs we're probably going to talk about. It's called the Christmas song. Most people know it as Chestnuts Roasting. Um, and yes, I guess I got fortunate enough to acquire, if anything, a good ear. I mean, hopefully people hear me sing, they go, I like this guy's voice. And of course, I've never really tried to sound like my dad because why would I? And there's one him, there's one me, there's one everybody. So I've never wanted to have people say, "Oh yeah, Mel Tormé's kid. He kind of sounds like Mel." That has never appealed to me. Um, but I'm lucky that I think I've got a pretty good ear from dad too, and that helps in doing something that I really enjoy a lot, which is harmonizing. And a lot of lead singers who are very good lead singers can't necessarily harmonize. They don't necessarily play well with others, and they don't allow the air for the other person to sing so that they blend. And it doesn't sound like a lead singer with people behind them. And that's a number of the projects that I do are with other singers, so we can harmonize.
Including your daughters.
Oh yes, oh yes. Well, we'll get into all this. Uh, I did a concert.
Steve, we're not going to get into anything unless you talk about it.
That's very true. Well, that's the key. All right. So this year would be my dad's 100th birthday. It is also the 80th anniversary of his writing the Christmas song.
Wow.
So we did, yeah, yeah. Wow, it's been around that long. So we did a concert here at the Fox Cities Performing Arts Center in Appleton, Wisconsin, which is a beautiful, beautiful theater. Tony Bennett opened it up a number of years ago, and actually came back about 4 years ago and did one of his final concerts. But that's the place where people that have Broadway shows come through. This is the place that they play. Or if Lyle Lovett comes into town, or Diana Ross, or whoever it is, that's the little jewel here. So we did a concert called Tormé Sings Tormé about 3.5 weeks ago, and we used a 10-piece orchestra called the Dectet because Marty Paich, the arranger who my dad loved working with the most, wrote for 10 pieces. It's a specific voicing for those instruments. And we did it with the Dectet here, and a lot of the songs that Dad recorded. And to refer to what you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, we finished the concert, and I came back out on stage by myself and started singing the Christmas song. I said, "Well, I can't do a tribute to my dad without singing this song," and sang the first line, "Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose." And my first daughter came out and started singing the next song, "Yuletide carols being sung, blah, blah, blah." And then my second daughter, and the three of us end up singing the song in three-part harmony. And it was shameless manipulation on our part because we knew a lot of people had tears. I mean, it was really lovely. And my girls really can sing. It's not like I'm throwing them, okay, girls, they're really good. And I have to keep up with them. So it was really nice to sing with my daughters. I wish my dad could have seen it live. That's all.
There's on the YouTube. There's some videos of you singing with your dad,
Hmm.
which is spectacular for me because following. I'm old enough to have followed your dad back in the '60s and '70s.
But
Um,
you're in your early 40s now, right? Just say yes.
I keep getting younger. Yes, yeah. I started 100 and worked my way backwards. And then I got to meet you. So it's incredible for me. And people of my age know Mel Tormé, the Velvet Glove, and his recordings and his musical abilities. Wow, arranging and writing and drums and everything.
We
He
talked about that, like we talked about that in the concert. We had a lot of video in the concert of him playing drums, of him singing with me, so that was pretty cool.
So then I want to get back to drums when we talk about songs that changed the world and so on. And you mentioned harmony. We'll talk about that also. Um, so the Christmas song, co-written by your dad, a Jewish boy.
Well, there is a story on the Christmas song, and you probably know what it is, but we will share it with our listeners. Um, as it turns out, in 1945, and my dad was barely 20 years old. And that's a rather sophisticated song chord wise. I mean, there's some really lovely changes in that would be hard to write when you're 40, much less 20.
Starts out with an octave.
Yes. Ba, ba, ba. I mean, that's rare.
Always a good way to start a song.
Yeah, right.
It's only a paper.
Ba, 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 ba. And
Harry Arlen.
to start a song with the word chestnuts. There is no other, I can't think of another song ever that starts with chestnuts. Anyway, Dad had a writing session scheduled with his partner, Bob Wells, Robert Wells, who was also.
I think he was also Jewish.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
His real name was like Robert Livingston or something.
Two Jewish boys
yes.
sitting in a hot house.
Well, it's an even better story because there's more to it. And I'm gonna go backwards for a second. In that summer of 1945 in Los Angeles, it was recorded as one of the hottest summers ever in LA. And there were two Jewish songwriters who got together to start writing a song. And it was Sammy Kahn and who was the other one? It might have been Harry Ruby. It'll come to me. In any event, they are at Sammy Kahn's apartment in Hollywood, and it's uncomfortably hot. And they're working on this song, and I think it was Harry Ruby said to Sammy Kahn, he says, look, let's just take a drive to the beach. I am so hot, I'm sweating. Let's get in your car. He had a convertible. Let's go down to the beach. Let's get some of that nice ocean air in our lungs.
Steve, he didn't say I'm sweating. He says I'm schwitzing.
I'm schwitzing right now. She is schwitzing. So
it's so hot.
Oy.
If it were hotter than this, we'd be in Tel Aviv.
So the other one said, you know what? We're so close to finishing this song. I say we stay here and finish it. And they did. And on that day in 1945, it was in July, they wrote Let It Snow. So you already had a Christmas standard called Let It Snow. Of all days, it was 95 degrees.
One of my favorites.
This is why I'm telling you these stories. 2 weeks later.
Julie Stein, no?
Oh, Julie Stein. It was Sammy Kahn and Julie Stein, not Harry Ruby. Thank you for correcting me. You're right. So Julie Stein and Harry Ruby write.
That song. I'm getting Jewish goosebumps. I'm getting Jewish.
I mean, on a 95-degree day, in LA. That's a great song. And again,
I have you so.
Yeah, I mean, great intervals. So 2 weeks later is when Dad has this songwriting thing scheduled with Bob Wells, and it's out in the valley where Bob Wells lives. And the San Fernando Valley is usually 10 to 12 degrees hotter than West LA. It just is because it sits in a basin. So Dad goes out there at 10 o'clock in the morning. They're trying to beat the heat. And I will tell the story that I do on stage because it's stupid. So he goes out there and drives up to the house, walks up to the front door, knocks on the door, no answer, opens the door and walks in because in 1945, you could do that. So he can hear that Bob is in the shower trying to cool off because it's already 92 degrees at 10 o'clock in the morning. And there is a pamphlet on the piano with 4 lines of lyrics written on it. And Dad's looking at the lyrics, and Bob comes out of the shower. And the first thing Dad says is, Bob, at least put on a towel. No, but seriously, folks, that's not really what he says. So he says, I think we have we have a song here. And the first few lines were chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos, which at that time you could say. So they ended up finishing the song in about 50 minutes, and they drove over to um, Carlos Gastel's office. Now, Carlos Gastel was a manager who managed my dad and Nat King Cole. So they played the song, they started singing it, and I think Carlos said, "Get out, we don't want to hear a song about it's 95, I don't want to hear a Christmas song right now." And Nat apparently said, "No, bring them back, I want to hear the song," and the rest is history. Nat ends up recording the most famous version of that tune. And so in the span of about 2 weeks in 1945, four Jewish songwriters come up with two Christmas classics. You can't make this stuff up. That's the story.
So, why, it's always good to write a Christmas song. Even a Jewish boy like me has written a Christmas song.
Mm-hmm.
But only one in a million Christmas songs becomes chestnuts roasting on an open fire or let it snow.
Right.
Why are these the songs that change the world?
My opinion, I don't know the answer to that. My opinion
Steve, I
is,
only want your opinion.
well, I always say that as opposed to, well, here's why. I'm hardly an authority. I think it's the melodies. Now, granted, obviously lyrics are important, and everybody's heard chestnuts roasting. They remember that opening line, chestnuts roasting on an open fire. That gives you an image. But
And
I
and
think
the end, and Merry Christmas to you.
yes,
Though
absolutely.
it's been said many times, many ways. Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas to
This is the
you.
first time a Jewish boy like me singing that song.
Well, so obviously
I,
it's
I
imprinted.
I have a story for you also, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Because for many years I didn't sing Christmas songs, partly because I didn't know that most of them were written by Jewish people.
And a lot of them were.
Yeah, that's
And
some of the best ones.
well, the two most well-known Christmas songs are the Christmas song and White Christmas. Now, to come up with a melody, I'm dreaming of a white
White
Christmas.
Christmas,
Who wrote that?
Irving Berlin,
Another Jew.
whose name was Israel Balin, and he really spoke Yiddish, not like you and me.
Right. So I think it's the
It
melodies.
it, 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 it takes a Jew to write a good Christmas song.
Apparently, I wrote one, and mine's in our concerts that we do in the holidays called "I Remember Christmas Time."
That's a
And
great song.
thanks, that's very nice of you.
Sing a few bars.
Uh, I remember Christmas time was a wondrous time when we were young, a treasured memory. The sweet smell of evergreens filled with twinkling lights on winter nights with friends and family. So, and it's about my family, kind of my daughters, and it just came out nicely. I'm proud of that tune. But I don't know why Jewish songwriters wrote all these Christmas songs. Maybe they realized, you know what? There's some money to be made here. Who knows?
Um, I think it's because they want to fit in. They want to be mainstream. That's what I think.
Could be.
But let's get back to the question. I'm giving a course starting in 11 days, songs that changed the world. And arguably, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire, Let It Snow. These are songs that changed the world. You can't go anywhere in December without hearing these songs. And you
Very true.
say, and you say it's the melody. But this is so hold on, Steve. The beautiful melodies, okay? Beautiful chord changes. We can throw Irving Berlin here into the mix. White Christmas. Okay. The question I want to ask you, as beautiful as these melodies are, and I remember you talked to me a few years ago to my class on unexpected chord changes, and melodies that go just a little bit out, that make the song. And I go with you there. Then my question is, what do you need words for?
Well, I
If the
think
melodies are so, your father was the master of scat. Your turn.
So what do you need the words for? Well,
Yeah.
I think it's important to paint a mental image of something. I think when you hear "I'm dreaming of a white Christmas," everybody can see that. You can see, even if in August, you can look out your window and you're seeing snow. All right, snowfall. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. I get it. Sleigh ride. Most wonderful time of the year. They all do have great lyrics. I mean, they didn't cheat. And one of the things that I try to do as a songwriter is not cheat. I really try not to write, "Hey, I'm feeling all right. I want to see you tonight." It's just too easy. So you're right. I mean, I'm a little bit of a snob. I like to hear a lyric and or a melody that you go, "Oh, you get that RCA Victor Dog thing. Oh, I didn't expect that." And that's the stuff that appeals to me. That's why I'm such a fan of the Beatles and Stevie Wonder and Steely Dan. It's those chord changes and melodies where you go, "Where did that come from?"
But hold
That
on. I want to take you now to the Beatles.
Oh, please do.
Because some of the best Beatles songs have haloshes lyrics, the worst lyrics in the world.
Well, the early ones, maybe.
No, also late ones.
Oh, give me
I
an
want I,
example.
I want you. I want you.
Okay, all right. I can't
I
argue
want
with
you so bad. You're making me
It's
sad.
driving me mad. It's
Yeah, yeah.
driving me mad.
And they don't have a line to rhyme with mad, so they repeat that. And then the second, some people say that they did that on purpose as a kind of a dadaism, but I don't think they did. I think they were just so, I don't know, whatever. But I would argue, I'm going to argue the following. So let's go back to these two songs. I want to focus on the songs, and we can do the Beatles another time. Or
Okay.
we can do them. We can do them now. Um, so, how many words of a song do you remember? Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, and this was your dad's song, so you know all the lyrics and then so on. Lemons nipping at the door, blah, 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 blah. Merry Christmas to you. And I'm going to argue that you don't need very many words to love a song.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, when I asked my dad, what do you think is the most important? Obviously, they're both important, lyrics and the music, but which do you think is more important? And he said, I think it's the lyrics. I said, well, that's interesting because for me, I think it's the melodies because people remember melodies.
Your
When,
dad said the lyrics.
yeah,
Your
yeah,
dad, master of scat, said the lyrics.
yep. Hey, and go figure. To me, people remember songs because they remember the melody. If you start humming a song, you'll see people go, ba 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 da, even if they don't know one word. Da ba, that song that goes da 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 da. What's that song? Well, that's the Christmas song. That happens with tons of songs. Even a song like "People" that Barbra Streisand sang. What's that song? Ba da ba ba da ba da ba 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 da ba da ba ba ba. Even if they don't know one word, melodies really become imprinted in our brains. I mean, that stays with us. Same like smells. You smell a pumpkin pie. It evokes something. I think melodies do the same thing. And again, I'm not an authority. It's just my opinion. I think people remember melodies much more than they remember lyrics. It's harder to remember lyrics. You got to memorize them. You actually have to sit down and memorize them. A melody, you can hear it one or two times and it stays with you. That's what I think.
But so there's a couple of things here. Here in Israel, people go nuts over Greek music, and many of them know the words. Mimu timonis matiamu, but they don't know what the words mean, and it doesn't seem to matter to them. So
Do you think it's the
sometimes,
rhythms? Do you think it's the rhythms in Greek music?
Steve, if I knew, I wouldn't be hosting you. This is one of the things that really bothers me. And also with the Beatles, most people don't know the lyrics to the Beatles. They know the hooks. She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. And the Beatles were masters of this. And the two songs that you allude to have these hooks: chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Let it snow. Let it snow. Let it snow. Repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a magic in a song like that? Is it the glove connecting the lyrics and the melody? I don't know.
I think so. That's why I said I think they're both important. Again, I think you can meet somebody in South Africa who doesn't know the words but can hum a song and go, "Oh, that song." What was that Beatles song? Hey, don't make it. I don't remember the words, da 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 da, but they remember the melody. I think lyrics are important because they do paint a picture, but I tend to agree with you that it's really hard to explain why a song works. I mean, so why did that one stay? Why can there be thousands of Christmas songs written by people? Because there are Christmas song competitions every year where people send in songs, and I'm not sure, but I'm going to guess that many of them are pretty bad. I mean, they're just not all that interesting. The melodies aren't that interesting. But every once in a while, something cracks up from the pavement and it stays. And that does happen. The Mariah Carey song that came out a few years ago, I understand is now was the most played Christmas song ever. It's like, really? Who knows why? Who knows why something sticks with people? I don't have the answer to that. Um, and I know you are simplifying the Beatles, and you probably don't want to get into their songwriting, but they
I
also,
don't mind. I don't mind at all getting into the Beatles.
I
Because
mean,
the chorus is songs that changed the world. So we talked about your dad and we talked about Christmas, but the Beatles are also in a league to themselves. Um,
they're not only in a league of their own, with all the bands that have come and gone, thousands and thousands of rock and roll and pop bands. There's no question they are at the top of the heap. And people go, "Oh, I don't like their stuff. It's real. It's too sugary and too pop." Fine. They changed literally the way people dressed, the way people talked, the way people wore their hair. There, I can name a bunch of songs that were great songs, and one of the songs that changed the world was "Yesterday," because no pop group had ever put out a song like that with just strings and Paul singing this beautiful melody. Ba ba da ba da ba da ba da ba ba da 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 ba 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 ba. They weren't writing songs like that. Other groups weren't writing tunes like that. They certainly weren't doing it with a quartet. That's a song that changed the world, in my opinion.
okay, well, I mean, we have to credit to George Martin for the
Yes.
accompaniment. And
Yeah.
I credit the Beatles for the following. They listened to him on occasion.
To
And I
George.
think that, yes, and I think that this was part of their grandeur. That when he said, let's have a string octet for Eleanor Rigby, and they didn't say, oh no, that's ridiculous. And the same thing with yesterday. I think that this was part of their greatness was they're willing to listen, not only to play, and listening also made them, I think, what they were, listening to other bands, listening to each other, at least at the beginning. But if you were going to teach one Beatles song, in 1977, we sent the Voyager to outer space, and Carl Sagan was in charge and some other people of sending a disc with music on it. And the rock and roll song that he sent, if I'm not mistaken, was "Johnny Be Good" by Chuck Berry. Um, there's discussion on why he didn't send the Beatles song, but if you were going to send a Beatles song to outer space, Steve, what would it be?
Oh, geez.
Would it be "Yesterday"?
Well, what would be the purpose? So that people could.
To tell aliens 600,000 years from now that there was a civilization here, and some representative music.
Oh boy.
Ah,
Well, there are too many choices for me, but you could just do a lot worse than yesterday. I mean, it's not really emblematic of the Beatles. I mean, if you're going to say there was this group called the Beatles, yesterday's not going to be the song I'm going to send. But I'm really hard pressed to think of what I would send.
I'm going to suggest one, and this came to me now, and it's not one that I would have thought of. But when you talked about harmony, I thought of "Because."
Yeah. And again, that's mostly a cappella. Um, yeah, again, that's why I said there's so many I could pick. In My Life is one of my favorite songs of all time. I think it's the best thing John Lennon ever wrote. Paul McCartney's For No One. You could put A Day in the Life and really encompass a huge amount of music and say there was this group called the Beatles that came up with a thing called A Day in the Life. there's so many. I mean, I am a bit of a Beatles nerd, like a lot of people are. That's what I was weaned on as a kid. That's, so many of us became musicians because
And
we saw them
and
on as television.
and in my estimation, you were well weaned.
I think so. You know, I
Um, but so let's get back to the course.
mhm.
Okay. Um, the Beatles made great music. They had great melodies and instrumentation and harmonies. I'm going to argue that for the most part, their lyrics were weak, but that didn't disturb them from being the Beatles. Um, this brings me to my question. I still don't know why you need the words. Like in the chorus, songs that change the world. I was thinking of starting out with Bach
Okay,
because Bach changed the world.
absolutely.
Take any of his greatest hits,
Yeah, yeah. So did
and
Mozart.
so okay, but Mozart was a protege of Bach, and
Fair enough.
and and if you take Mozart, that's fine, and you're not going to pick songs necessarily from operas with singing in German. Um, and so I come back to this question. You need the words. You don't. You need the words to create some image, even if it's la 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 do si do. I don't know how strange people are.
I still think people like to tell stories, though.
Ah,
You can write, yeah, I mean, you can write great, melodies, but I think people still like to tell stories. Here's a story I have to tell. I'm going to do it in a song.
okay. So when I gave the course on popular songs, what makes an amazing popular song, after a whole semester of teaching, we reached the conclusion, meaning I reached the conclusion, that a researcher named Henyon, a European researcher, is right, who says that a good song has to tell a story or be a story.
I think for the most part, I mean, there are exceptions to every rule, but yes, I think so. Let's go back to in my life. There are places I remember all my life, though some have changed. Some forever, not for better. Some have gone, and some remain. So this is someone reflecting on their life, which is a story. Um, there are lots of stories. I go now. I'm going to take a left turn here. One of the reasons I like Steely Dan and Donald Fagen's writing so much is because not only the chord change is really interesting and just way hip, but the lyrics, they're great lyricists. Now they're not everybody's bag because a lot of them are just pervy lyrics and they're just all over the place and they're dark as hell and they're cynical, but they're really well thought out. And the rhyme schemes are interesting. I think the same thing with Stevie Wonder, who breaks lots of rules. Lots of rules. There are rhyme schemes. He goes, now that word doesn't go there, and you don't break that word up and sing it like that. Well, apparently you can, but he's one of a few. And he had stories to tell. I mean, Isn't She Lovely is about the birth of his child. Well, you can't just tell that story without lyrics. So I agree with you. I think really great songs do tell a story.
Okay, and now the last question I'm going to ask you today is: do these songs that we talked about, do they really change the world?
Well, I was going to ask you that in the beginning too, because when you said, did Christmas song change the world? Um, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if we're being thoroughly honest, the iPhone changed the world. Did the Christmas song? I don't know. Did it make the world a better place? We could hope so. We could say, yeah, I think so. It makes people happy to hear it on an escalator when they're out Christmas shopping. Maybe. Um, I know music's obviously a very important piece of connectivity for people. I mean, it really is. People don't get in their cars and put on, math books. They put on music. So I think it can make the world a better place. Does it change it? My answer to that is I hope so. Especially today. I hope so.
Well, you talked about the communality of music. There's something in 30,000 people coming together for a concert, and hearing, even if whether they're singing or not, listening to a song together, singing a song together, humming together, clapping in unison. There's something, and I think this goes back to primitive man. I think that music was one of the ways that we built communities. So, if you're asking me what I think that songs like "Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire" and "Let It Snow" are songs that changed the world. They did make the world a better place because they made the world a more communal place. When you hear that song on the radio, you're going to let somebody in front of you. You're not going to run over a lady carrying groceries. Um, and to that extent, yes. But if you ask me, songs that change the world, there's also a darker side of it that we can talk about another time, such as war songs, um, songs that call people to arms or to beliefs, national anthems. Um, these are also songs that change the world. And maybe more flippantly, um, football songs.
Football songs?
Yeah, football song. In England, for example, one of the
Oh,
most
okay.
pop one of the most popular football, we're going to call them soccer.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Okay. One of the most popular soccer songs in Britain is Blue Moon.
Really?
Rodgers and
Football.
Hart,
Blue Moon for football. Huh?
19, yeah, 1930. When was it written? 34 or maybe something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a lovely song. But if you
yeah.
sing Blue Moon in England, and you're a supporter of, I don't know who sings it, West Ham, Liverpool, I have no idea. Um, you have a commonality of millions of people. And this is kind of funny because it's an old romantic song that
Mhm.
has nothing to do with soccer.
Who knows? Who knows? Hey, look, the Boston Red Sox have adopted Neil Diamond's "Sweet Caroline." I don't necessarily care for the song, but they all sing it and they all go, "So good, so good, so good," and it's very communal. I agree with you. Music can be very positive because it is communal. I mean, you go to a Paul McCartney concert, everybody's singing along together, and it's quite lovely. I mean, you don't have people getting in fights at Paul McCartney concerts. It's like, oh my God, this commonality. Same thing. My buddy and I went to see James Taylor in Nashville last year, and when we didn't have tears in our eyes, we were singing along because his songwriting is just brilliant. He's a great songwriter, and they really make you feel good. Like everybody feels great at a James Taylor concert. Though when you mention soccer, obviously there is an issue with hooliganism and always has been, and rowdy fans, and you play certain songs and you get those guys fired up. Now you've got fights in the stands. So it can do both. And I agree
Well,
with you about anthems, national anthems. I used to ask myself, why, when you've got a football game, and I mean American football, and they play the national anthem beforehand, why? Why are we doing the national anthem before a sporting event? Well, the real reason is now it's money. There's a lot of money that's connected with the United States Air Force, the United States Army, and the NFL. But going before that, that nationalism. Look, I have nothing against the national anthem. I've sung it a number of times in Israel. I sang it at the Maccabea games, or Maccabea, if you will. So I
you,
have no
you
issue
sang
with
you
that.
sang you sang the Star Spangled Banner,
Yes, yes,
which is a war song.
yes, it is. Hey, I didn't write it. Don't blame me.
No,
It is a war song.
written in Baltimore during the War of 1812, and I know that because I grew up in Canada. Um, And so I have a different theory. I think that the reason that we sing, you sing the Star Spangled Banner, which is perhaps not the official national anthem of America, but still, you sing it because at the beginning of the game, you want everybody to be together for like 2.5 minutes. 1 minute
Why
after
don't we
that,
sing it? Why
everybody's
don't we
there.
sing it before? Well, why for a sporting event? Why don't we sing it before a movie? Why don't
Oh,
we sing it?
well,
Why don't
oh, my dear friend, sorry. When I grew up in Canada, we would sing "God Save the Queen" before the movie,
well, that explains your personality.
and yeah, and I will tell you, and our two listeners the funny thing about lyrics and how you can misinterpret them when you're 5 years old. God Save the Queen, which is now God Save the King, has a refrain: "Center victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us." Um, and I misheard that as a young child, and I thought it was talking about the Queen's children who had somehow got lost during the Second World War. And it was Center Victoria,
Uh,
Happy and Gloria. That was very meaningful to me. When I found out it was a mistake, I was heartbroken.
no.
So Steve, a few last words before I ask you to sing something. Have we
Okay.
clarified anything about what makes a song that changes the world?
No, I think we've just given our opinions. I don't know if we've clarified anything. I think we've touched on stuff that most people would not argue with. That music can be communal, can be positive, make people feel good. Um, One of the things about music amongst musicians, a musician from New Jersey could go to Sweden. If they meet musicians there, they can jam together, even if they don't speak the same language, because music is a common language. So if you can't speak one word, there are wonderful Japanese jazz musicians, tremendous. I can't speak a word of Japanese, but I bet I could sit in with those guys and we could play. And we'd look at each other and smile. And, okay, here's where we go to the minor sixth. Okay, I got you. I got you. So it is a common language, the language of music, which, as you and I both know, really is math. All music is, which is another common thing. It's just not as much fun. Music's more fun. So yeah, I think we've established that it is communal, that in the wrong hands it can be divisive. We hope not, but have these songs changed the world? Even if in a small way, yes. Even if it's just incremental, we'll take it. That's what I think.
Incremental. Okay. And what are you going to sing for us?
What am I going to sing for you?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I have I have a concert coming up next month here in Wisconsin. That is it's a fundraiser called Grateful Groove. It's a guy who he's a hair cutter out here. It's for kids, so kids don't go hungry. And one of the songs we're going to do is really tricky lyrically. I hope I don't screw it up. It's a song that I heard my dad sing, but we're going to put it in and do it in four-part harmony. He goes, howdy, folks, let's go for a ride. Get your favorite one to sit by your side. Cuddle up in a sleigh, giddy up, Nellie Gray, and away we go. While you listen to the sleigh bells ring, you're yodeling to your baby. You'll feel nice and warm no matter how cold it may be. Take a look at little Jack and Jill who ski down the hill. There's a snowplow turn. Whoops, there's a spill on the hill. When you're down, it's a thrill to get up again. Everybody ought to learn to ski. That's how we first met. We were that Jack and Jill who skied down the hill. When I looked at you, my heart took a spill on the hill. It's a thrill I can't forget. And that goes the title. It happened in Sun Valley not so very long ago. There was sunbeams in the snow and a twinkle in your eye. I remember oh so clearly that you nearly passed me by. Then it happened in Sun Valley when you slipped and fell, and so did I. So that's a tongue twister tune, but it's really clever. Some of those intervals, oh, thank you. Some of those intervals are, I love that one. No matter how cold it may be, it's those. You go a half step in a song, you change a song from being mundane to oh, that's pretty cool.
We,
As a
we,
matter
talk,
of
we,
fact,
we, we talked about 3 years ago.
yeah, we did.
Yeah, I love those little things in a song, Um,
Yeah,
I don't
Richard
know.
Rogers did that all the time. That's
I,
somebody we
I,
haven't brought up.
I was just going to sing something from Richard Rogers. The last line of it goes up. That's that's his brilliance. So
Yeah, that's
you're
genius stuff.
you
Yep.
you were reading my mind. Um, I'll tell you one thing we didn't talk about, and now I'm going to have to keep you for another 3 minutes, Steve. Um, is you talked about your father. Uh, he was a drummer from the age of 3 or 5, if I'm not mistaken. He was a young drummer. Um, do you need melody and do you need harmony and you need words when you have rhythm?
Well, I think we all naturally have rhythm. Well, that's not true. Some people can't keep time.
No, but is rhythm
It's a
a
big
song?
part.
Is it
Yeah,
a
yeah.
song?
Yes, and for better or for worse, and it's not for me to judge. Lots of music that came out in the last 20 to 25 years really is rhythmically driven. And that's not to say that people don't still write songs with a melody that will stick with you. But obviously, with the huge explosion of hip hop music, a lot of it really became rhythmic. I mean, you take a drum machine, throw a couple of bass lines on it, and you've got a song. Now,
Yeah.
I don't think it's of the ilk of Stevie Wonder or Richard Rodgers, but that's kind of what's nice about music. It's all over the place. Lots of African music is basically rhythmically driven. Doesn't mean it's any less musical. It's just a different way of going.
Some researchers claim that music and language all started out with primitive man getting up on 2 feet and
Probably.
walking in rhythm and clapping in rhythm. And we're going to write a song together.
You and I?
Uh, Yeah, not necessarily today. And it's going to start with
Okay.
when a song's got rhythm. No, songs that have rhythm, you got to dance with them.
Yeah, I agree.
No,
Songs with rhythm, songs with rhythm, songs with rhythm. Who could ask for anything more?
no, you got to dance with them.
I got nothing
Songs with
against rhythm.
rhythm.
I'm all for it. I play a lot of songs that have rhythm in it, lots of them. And again, that goes back to the Beatles and Steely Dan and Stevie Wonder. Those songs are all filled with rhythm. So yeah, there are many components to a great song. Rhythm, melody, lyrics, not necessarily harmony. There's some great songs that have no harmony in them, but that's
No,
nice little icing on the cake.
there's songs that have little rhythm, and there's songs that don't have words, and there's songs that have words that
Hmm.
we. But I think that they have to have a story, and if the story resonates with enough people, then it can make this effect, which is sometimes incremental and sometimes monumental.
Yes, I agree.
You
I agree.
say incremental, and I say
Say
monumental.
monumental, incremental, monumental. Let's call the whole thing off. What?
Steve March-Tormé.
Mel Rosenberg, ladies and gentlemen.
It's always a joy speaking to you. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to ask me? That you want to show people from your baseball collection? Um,
Well, I will. I'm going to posit a couple of things that are going on just to share with people, whether they care or not, who knows. Besides this Tormé Sings Tormé concert that I did, and I did a tour of that a few years ago. We did about a 32 city tour. The show's better now because we have these great visuals in it. We've kind of cleaned it up and really made it a tight show. There are two other concerts that I've been involved with in the last couple of years. One's coming up, and I'll try to not. I'm not going to draw this out and make a long story out of it. There's a kid that I worked with here. He's 23 years old, who's a really good musician, wonderful, multi-instrumentalist, great guitar player, really good singer. And we met by happenstance. And the three things I want to tell you about, and I'll make them quick. Uh, we started working together, and I said, "Hey, have I ever played you any of the Dalton Diamond songs?" He goes, "No, what's that?" I said, "Well, a friend of mine and I wrote a bunch of songs like in the middle 80s when I lived in Los Angeles, and they're kind of in the vein of Dan Fogelberg, J.D. Souther, James Taylor, Eagles, that kind of stuff, like the SoCal harmony country pop stuff." And we never did anything with them because neither one of us really did that. We just wrote these songs and we did a demo version. So he said, "No, play me one of the songs." And I played one of the songs. He goes, "Yeah, I really like it." He said, "Do you have any more?" I said, "Yeah." We ended up writing 9 of them. I played him one more. He said, "We have to record the album. We have to do the album." So this year we put it out. It came out about a month ago. The album's called Dalton Diamond, Dalton, Dalton Diamond. I'll send you one. And I'm really proud of it. And it is in the vein of those singer-songwriters. Nobody's really writing that kind of stuff right now. It's just they're not, but we don't care. We like the album a lot. Lots of harmonies. I think you'd like it. So that's one of the projects we're doing. And after we started working on that, we were thinking of what concert could we do that'd be really interesting, a different kind of concert. And I said, are you familiar with Elton John's 1970 album, Tumbleweed Connection? Because people of my age, we wore that album out. He says, of course I know that album. I go, how would you know? You're 23. How do you know that album? He says, oh, God, yes. And for people that don't know that album, because it didn't have any hit singles off it, they know all the songs on it. Where to Now, St. Peter, and Border Song, and Son of Your Father. You start hearing that, you go, oh, I know that album. It's got the sepia cover. It was basically Elton and Bernie Taupin writing a Western rock opera. It's all about the Old West, preachers and gunslingers and cattle rustlers and Civil War soldiers. It's a great album. And it's before Elton became the glammy Rocket Man, Crocodile Rock Elton. I mean, he was much more serious stuff. And
I love that album and forgot about it. I'm gonna listen
we've
to
worn
it
it out.
I'm gonna listen
So
to
I
it.
said, what do you think about we do that as a concert? We do the entire album, first note to last, with the strings and the background singing and everything. He said, let's do it. We did that concert this year 3 times, and it killed. I mean, it was really great because people do know those songs. And I don't try to sound like Elton. I sound like me, but we know how to play those. I have the musicians that can do it. So anyway, it was really successful. Loved doing it, and it was backed by the radio station that I work for. They said, "Yeah, we'll make this our signature concert this year." Well, the guy who's my boss called me 2 weeks ago and said, "How would you feel about doing another concert like We called it Tumbleweed Reconnection?" He says, "How would you
Wow,
feel about doing that for a different album this year?" I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." I said, "Funny you mentioned that because Michael Murphy and I started talking about that as soon as it was over. Like, what would we do next?" And there are thousands of albums to choose from, but you still have to put people in the seats. You got to pick something where people go, yeah, I want to see that. I mean, I can have an obscure album that I like by Little Feat, but 8 people are going to show up. So after discussing this and just deciding which is the best one, I happen to believe that the best album the Beatles ever recorded, in my opinion, the best from beginning to end, is Revolver. The songs on Revolver, from Taxman, Eleanor Rigby, Got to Get You Into My Life, For No One, Good Day Sunshine, I'm Only Sleeping. I mean, it's a brilliant album, and the songs are great. That's our next concert. It's coming up on May
wow,
15th of next year with the horns and strings and singers, and there'll be 14 people on stage, but it's going to be
fantastic.
really fun. So those are the 3 projects I'm just kind of throwing out there. That's
What
all.
are you gonna call it? Re-revolver?
I don't know what to call it. I haven't come up with
Re-revolver.
a name yet. Re-revolver? Maybe. We'll see. I thought of that. I don't know if it's gonna fly, but that might work. Yeah, re-revolver. Hey, that might work. But to start off with that, 1, 2, 3, 4, let me tell you how it will be. It's gonna be great. And that's just the first half of the concert. The album's only 45 minutes long. So the second half of the concert is a deep dive into the later work that the Beatles did when they stopped touring and said, look, we're not enough with that. So there'll be Magical Mystery Tour. Maybe you do that song. Maybe Mother Nature's Son from the White Album. I mean, stuff people don't usually do. But it'll be a blast. It'll be really a wonderful concert. And again, the radio station will be sponsoring it. So, I've got listeners all over the world that listen to our station. So hopefully we'll be able to fill the place up. There you go.
Fantastic. Steve March-Tormé, this was brilliant. And
Tell my kids.
I don't know about the world, but I can't live without music.
I'm with you. I mean, if there was no music, what would you do all day? Be pretty bored. So
I
thank goodness we have music.
clap my hands and
Yeah. You have music in your head regardless.
it's been great, Steve. Thanks so much. Until
Thank you, my friend.
our next get together, and I can't wait to hear whatever you send me.
All right, you got it. Have a lovely day out there.
You
That's
too.
my friend. See you later.
Peace. Bye bye.
Peace. You got it.
And Steve, we're sharing this. Oh, he's gone.